Israel is fighting an enemy that's already reached into Europe, into London, into Paris, and so forth. If Israel wasn't there fighting this battle, I guarantee you, they would be here doing more than running for office. Why do you think we have this massive counterterrorism infrastructure? To protect us from Israel? From Islamist, jihadist terrorists who slaughter their own people. The Christians in the Middle East, the few who are left, in Syria, they don't send our great Marines in there to protect them. NATO doesn't send troops in there to protect them. Nobody does a damn thing for them except the IDF in the Air Force in Israel to try and protect the Christians over the border in Syria who are being slaughtered.
Mark Levin has always been on the right side of history, and he learns from history because we know if we don't learn from history, we'll repeat it again. Well, let's listen to Mark Levin in this discussion about the direction the world is going now and why the right has become so silent. Let's watch this together and we'll discuss it afterwards. Kindly subscribe to our channel so a little bit of light will push away a lot of darkness.
You know, with the rise of the Third Reich, you had Jews who would say in Germany, I fought in World War I for Germany, and it didn't matter. So I'm going to say something that's kind of troubling but needs to be said. My grandfather fought at Iwo Jima in Guam. My great-uncle fought at Guadalcanal. I don't have to make apologies for who I am about anything. How about little Adolf Fuentes? What did his family do for this country? What did he do? How about Tucker Carlson? What did he do for the country? He interviews the Qatari, interviews Putin, he interviews the lowest of scum, genocidal maniacs on the face of the earth. Now he's attacking Christian Zionists. He's literally attacking the Bible that are evangelical Christian brothers and sisters. And it's not just them. It's Catholics. Ted Cruz is a Catholic. He's a great man. He's out there fighting. They're attacking Christianity. Why? Because Christianity rejects what they're spewing too. Judaism rejects it. Christianity rejects it. Atheists reject it. Agnostics reject it. Gay people, straight people, women, men, we all reject it. So why is it so hard for people in my business or people in leading positions in government to do the same thing? What are they afraid of? They need to be afraid of regular Americans like you and me. They need to be afraid of us. So when they hear stuff like that, they say, what? What are we going to say? I'm not talking about Jews. I'm talking about all Americans. What are we going to say? The problem is with the extremes. They capture the cultural centers in the country. They capture the teachers' units. They capture the faculty. They capture the media. They capture all these fine points. Groups like CARE know how to do it. Students for Justice in Palestine know how to do it. Little Adolf knows how to do it. Some of the others know how to do it. And that's what they're doing. They don't represent a majority. Hitler didn't represent a majority when he started. Mao didn't represent a majority. Lenin didn't represent a majority. Castro didn't represent a majority. Noriega didn't represent a majority. That's the problem. It doesn't take a majority. It takes a cabal or a very aggressive, sinister minority to do the damage. So what I'm telling you here is I'm not going to put a smiley face on this. I don't put a smiley face on this. I put an angry face on this. And we need to engage, and we can't leave it to other people only. Where is everybody? Where are they? We have to defend ourselves. We can't rely on other people. I'm not saying we don't engage and build alliances, we red-blooded Americans. But it's up to us, each and every one of you. You're going to ask Mark how. You've got to sit down at your dinner table and figure it out. What is it that you can do in your life that's going to make a difference? I don't care if it's at synagogue where you see they're weak, and many of them are. I don't care if it's a letter to the editor, calling into a radio show, being a pain in the ass to some congressman's office or senator's office, as long as they're civil. Whatever it is, do it now. There is no tomorrow. It's spreading throughout the world. It's starting throughout Europe. Europe's being conquered in front of our eyes. Our country is at the front end of being conquered in front of our eyes. We can't put up with this. So don't put up with this. That's my point to you. I don't expect every one of you to be able to get on radio and TV and all the rest. But I do expect you to pressure people who are on radio and TV to speak out for you, for us, for we, the American people. We stand for Americanism because we, maybe uniquely as Jews, a tiny percentage of the population, we know what a fantastic country this is. We know that we've had the greatest period of peace and prosperity in the history of the Jewish faith, right here in the United States. And we're not giving it up, period. President Trump has, in fact, been the best friend Israel's ever had. No question. But we have to look beyond. We have to look strategically. We have to plan. We have to prepare. We can't play defense and wait to see how things turn out. We can't do that. We need to be proactive. They talk about litmus tests. We have a litmus test. Do you support America or not? Are you a racist or not? Are you a bigot or not? Are you a Jew hater or not? It's not a tough test. But unfortunately, it's a test that has to be made. Now, as for Israel, I told you, 2 hours is nothing.
Mark, you already answered like 7 of my questions.
Here comes number 8. Rather than Israel having something to apologize for, Israel should be celebrated by the entire free world. The Israelis are fighting a war that Europe won't fight. We won't fight with soldiers. We fight and support Israel, which is very important because they have very few. Israel is fighting an enemy that's already reached into Europe, into London, into Paris, and so forth, reached into New York, reached elsewhere. If Israel wasn't there fighting this battle, I guarantee you, they would be here doing more than running for office. Why do you think we have this massive counterterrorism infrastructure? To protect us from Israel? From Islamist, jihadist terrorists who slaughter their own people. The Christians in the Middle East, the few who are left, in Syria, they don't send our great Marines in there to protect them. NATO doesn't send troops in there to protect them. Nobody does a damn thing for them except the IDF and the Air Force. in Israel to try and protect the Christians over the border in Syria who are being slaughtered, and the Druze and the Bedouins and others. Israel's doing that, Mr. Vice President. Calm down, I'm not going there fully yet. I might, but not yet. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We're pressuring Israel to make sure they protect places like the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. As I speak, you know who's staying in there defending that church? The IDF. From who? The Palestinians. The Jordanians. Who protects the Al-Aqsa Mosque? Who protects the Al-Aqsa Mosque? The IDF. Who protects every Christian church in and around Jerusalem? The Israelis. Who protects every holy site, no matter whose it is? The Israelis. You don't need to pressure the Israelis to do these things. They've been doing these things since before our favorite administration and before the birth of the Vice President himself. And I'm not picking on him. I'm just responding. Somebody has to. Benjamin Netanyahu. Why is he so controversial? He's the elected leader of the only democratic country in the Middle East. So why do they want, in our country, the radical left and the radical right to replace him? Now let's see what he's done in the last 24 months. They had Hamas surrounded in the city of Gaza. They had to pull back. They wanted to get the hostages out. And God bless them for doing it. They took out the entire leadership of Hamas, except for those that our great dear friends, the Qataris, are protected, and our great new dear friends, the Turks, are protected, or they'd be gone too. What else have they done? That would be enough. Under Netanyahu's leadership, blew out the entire leadership of Hezbollah in one weekend. And then tracked down Nasrallah, and what did they do? They didn't have bunker busters. One jet after another, 2,000-pound bombs, precision, boom, 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 took them out. The man in charge of killing hundreds of Marines, blowing up 2 U.S. embassies and American personnel. Israel did that. Came to the defense of themselves and us. Iran. It was a 12-day war. The Israelis defeated Iran. They took out their radar, precision. They took out their ground-to-air missiles, which were the best the Russians had. Took out a dozen of their nuclear scientists, but they didn't have the bombs to take out the nuclear sites, or they would have done it themselves with the bombers. We did. The Israelis won that war, and we destroyed their nuclear sites with our great president. We don't even have to worry today, maybe tomorrow, but not today, about their threats against us, because their military effectively doesn't exist. I hear that we want to work out an arrangement with the Iranian regime. We want peace with the Iranian regime. I'm attacked constantly because Mark wants regime change. Can you hear that? Listen quietly. Those are the screams of the Iranian people who are being tortured, raped, butchered, executed, that nobody hears. These are Persians. These are educated people. They want nothing to do with this regime. The issue to me isn't how do we work in an arrangement with the regime. The issue to me is how do we help our fellow human beings? No, I don't think we should be interventionists and so forth and so on. No, I don't think we should send American armed forces in there and so forth. Did Reagan send American armed forces into the Soviet Union? Well, how did it collapse? There are ways to do things, and there's ways not to do things. But this is what Netanyahu has done. 1,000 years from now, in our books, he will be remembered as one of the greatest leaders of the Jewish people in Jewish history. And the Lilliputians, the bureaucrats, the European socialists who founded Israel that don't like much when the people don't vote for them. They don't like Netanyahu and Likud, and so forth and so on. In the middle of a war, truly for the existence of the country, they're trying to imprison their prime minister. That's sick. Reminds me a little of the Second Temple. The Romans are at the gates, and the Jews are fighting with each other. They're killing each other. One faction against another. Then finally they realize, wait a minute, the Romans are breaching our defenses. It was too late. And estimates are that 1 million Jews were killed. Think about 1 million Jews back then. You know what Dory Gold told me once? The great Dory Gold.
For blessed memory.
God bless him.
For blessed memory, yeah.
What's that?
For blessed memory.
Amen. I had him on my radio show, what, honey, 6, 7, 8 years ago? He said something that stunned me. He said, you know, Mark, but for the Babylonians and the Iranians, Persians, the Romans, the Spanish Inquisition, the Third Reich, he named them all. Do you know there'd be 2 billion Jews in the world? Bigger than the population of Red China today? Think about that. Could be 2 billion. That's right. 2 billion Jews. Just a small number. And for some reason, we are on the minds of the haters, the genocidal maniacs, the evil people, on their minds endlessly. Endlessly. Because here's what they know, and I know. We're the first defense for Western civilization. We're it. The Israelis are it. The Jews in Europe are up against it right now. You see these videos online? In France, a chief rabbi told the Jews there to get out. You got 10 years, get out. There's this fella, Tommy Robinson. And some of my friends say, oh, that guy's a neo-Nazi. He's no neo-Nazi. The left in Britain has pigeonholed him as a white nationalist. We know what white nationalists are. Supremacy. I've called a few of them out already. This guy goes to Israel, interviews Christians, interviews Muslims, Arabs. He says, Britain, look what's happened to our country. We've lost our country. We've lost our culture. We can't even fly our flag. We can't even have meetings in certain neighborhoods with our lives. And now the police enforce what is effectively Sharia law and so forth and so on. Our courts uphold it. Our government, this guy Sturmer, whatever. Look what he's done. He says, why are we attacking the Jews? They're fighting these people over in the Middle East. They're standing up like no other country will stand up. No other country in the world will stand up to them. None.
And this is what Mark Levin has been talking about. He goes back in history to the Third Reich and thinking of what life was like then. And, the common saying that history, we must learn from it so we don't repeat it. And being silent is equal to being complicit. What Mark Levin is referring to and suggesting that we do not stand on the sidelines. He's asking the questions, where are those on the right? Why aren't they talking up? And this is a time, as he mentioned, not everyone's going to get a chance to go on the radio, on TV, to voice their opinion. But never discount or underestimate the ability of an individual. As an individual, to be able to write editorials, to write responses, or if you know people of influence and power, to reach out to them, to voice your opinion. And it's such an important part of life to not become complacent and apathetic and just stay on the sidelines. We've been taught that there are three types of people that God created. There are those that make things happen. There are those that watch things happen. There are those that don't even know that they happened. One of my favorite stories, which reflects upon each one of us as we go through life, and I call it a Moses moment. And it's recorded in the Bible for a reason. We know the Bible was written very precisely. Every word has a purpose and a meaning. Every letter has a purpose and a meaning. As a matter of fact, a Torah scroll, if one letter is missing, then the whole Torah scroll is considered invalid, non-kosher. We can't read from it during the ceremonies, because every letter, every word has a purpose. So there's a whole section in the Torah that talks about in the formative days of Moses, that Moses is in Egypt and he observes how an Egyptian is beating up on an Israelite. So Moses could have just kept on going and minded his own business, because why stir the waters? Why get involved and at great risk? But Moses, as recorded in the Bible, he looked here, he looked there, he saw there was no man. So what did Moses do? He took action in his own hands. He didn't remain a spectator. He didn't stand on the sidelines to observe, but he went ahead and he defended the defenseless Jewish Israeli man. And he took the Egyptian and he fought him off and let the Israelite go free at great cost. Eventually, Moses had to flee Egypt because they were after him, because he defended the Israelite. But I call that a Moses moment. And you ask yourself in life, you may come across a opportunity to do something. And think of the Moses moment. Think of, this is your calling. When you hear something anti-Semitic, or you see something going down that's inappropriate, that's wrong, think of that as your Moses moment. And that could be a watershed moment of your history. just like a Moses moment, that we don't just stand on the sidelines and as spectators or as a third person doesn't even know what happened in life. And then we go through a whole life like that. But rather, every day of your life is meaningful and purposeful. Every day of your life, you have a mission to accomplish. Every day of life is a gift. The fact that you and I are living now in the 21st century, we're living with such comforts and such prosperity that the world has never seen before. When we think about it, how lucky we are compared to our ancestors just 100 years ago, as they were struggling in the streets of Europe and the villages, and as sicknesses were rampant prior to antibiotics, prior to vaccines, prior to a polio vaccination, prior to measles vaccination, just go through where we are in history, how far we have come, and how easy these days it is to communicate, to travel, and how well our medical system is doing, how we've learned so much in the medical field, that with our traveling experiences, this everything that we're living in our 21st century is a miraculous time. So what Mark Levin is asking us, get up from our seats and do something about it. Don't be complacent. Don't just accept and be gullible of the lies that are spewed in the multimedia and the social media and the legacy media, but rather be your own person. Get up to have a voice, because you have a voice. The day you were born, God said the world can no longer exist without you, because you are important. You are an integral part of the world, of society. So your voice counts, but you have to make your voice heard. Whether you do it literally with a loud voice or you use your fingers and you write something, but you're doing something. Everyone needs to do something. We need to protest what's going on. We need to challenge those that are out there, the Nick Fuentes and the Tucker Carlson and the Candace Owens. Well, we need to protest them. We need to flood the waves, flood the internet with protests, that what they're doing is being exceedingly divisive in nowadays. They are not uniting the people, they are hurting people, and them becoming anti-Israel, anti-Semitic is not helping uniting the world. The world in the 21st century deserves to be progressive, to be able to move on from the old hatred, from the blood libels, from the baseless hatred of the Jewish people for absolutely no foundation or reason whatsoever, just to use them as a scapegoat, to hate them because they are different. Yes, the Jewish people are different. They were designed to be different. Yes, we only work 6 days a week. We don't work on Saturdays. No, we don't eat cheeseburgers. We don't eat pork, meat, shellfish. We eat specific dietary rules as it is written in the Torah. Yes, we respect our marriages in specific ways. Yeah, we have our calendars, a different calendar. Yeah, we are different, and it's okay to be different. God created us all to be different, but being different doesn't make you better. Being different doesn't mean that you need to be discriminated against and you need to be racism and bigotry just because we are different. Human nature should allow difference. There are so many different animals out there, and yet they are all created by God. There's so many different human beings out there. We're all created by God. We may have different faces, we may have different religions, we may have different theological belief systems, we may practice different, we may pray different, we may eat different, we may work different. But that's okay. Different doesn't make us better or special. Different just allows us to be who God created us to be. Everyone has a right to be different. As long as you're following in the ways of the Bible, as long as you are living and let live, as long as you are not taking another person's life away, as long as you're not hurting someone in any way, shape, or form, not verbally, not financially, not physically, and not emotionally, we don't have the right to hurt others. We have the right to love others, to help others, to spread goodness and kindness. That is what each one of us are. We are an ambassador of good. And that is why God created us, so that we can do good in this world. And that's what Mark Levin is inspiring us not to be complacent, but to become a voice, and a loud voice. And hopefully our voice will be able to drown out all the negativism that's out there. God bless you. God loves you.